All right, let's talk about something you probably don't think about every day. The invisible war happening in farm fields all over the world. Yeah, I'm talking about pests. For decades, our go-to weapon has been, well, a flood of chemicals. But what if the answer wasn't a better poison? What if it was a smarter partnership with nature itself? Today, we're diving into an innovation that could literally change the entire game. So, this really gets to the heart of it. What if pest control could actually heal our soil instead of just harming it? I mean, think about that for a second. What if the very thing we used to protect our crops could also regenerate the ground they grow in? It sounds like a total paradox, right? But that's exactly the idea we're going to unpack. Okay, so to really get why this new tech is such a big deal, we first have to talk about the old way of doing things. It's this concept called the chemical treadmill, and, well, it's a huge, escalating problem for modern farming. And this treadmill, it's got some really serious consequences. First off, you've got pest resistance. The pests literally evolve, so farmers have to use stronger and stronger, more toxic chemicals just to keep up. Then there's the environmental damage. All that chemical runoff pollutes our water and, it harms crucial pollinators like bees. And of course, there's the money. The cost of all these chemicals and the equipment to spray them just keeps going up, squeezing farmers' profits. On top of all that, it's a safety risk for farm workers and even for us, the consumers. It's this vicious cycle where the so-called solution just keeps digging a deeper hole. So you might be thinking, okay, chemicals are bad, but what about other stuff, like those plastic traps? And that's a fair point. But here's the catch. A lot of those alternatives are just trading one problem for another. Sure, you might use fewer chemicals, but now you've got a massive plastic waste problem. Plus, they're pretty limited in what they can actually do. So, yeah, it's a step, but it's not the giant leap forward that we really need. All right, so enough about the problem. Let's get to the good part, the regenerative solution. This is all about finally breaking that cycle, and not with a fancier chemical, but by getting way, way smarter with biology. And here it is. We're talking about something called EcoPods, and the approach here is totally different. It's intelligent, it's biological, and maybe most importantly, it's cyclical. This really is a complete shift in thinking. We're moving from fighting a war against nature to actually working with it. Okay, so how do these things actually work? It all comes down to this really elegant four-step life cycle. I love this. Lure, trap, decay, and enrich. Let's break down exactly what that means. So the real secret sauce here is what's called a dual-action lure system, and it's so clever. First, it uses pheromones to attract these specific pests you're trying to get rid of. But, and this is the genius part, it also releases something called pheromones. Think of these as a dinner bell for the good guys, the natural predators like ladybugs and lacewings. So it's not just trapping the bad bugs, it's actively calling in their natural enemies for backup. And this all fits together in this perfect regenerative loop. It's beautiful. So step 1, lure. The pod attracts both the pests and their predators. Step 2, trap. It catches the pests inside with something completely non-toxic. Then step 3, decay. After about 4 to 6 weeks, the pod itself, which is 100% biodegradable, just starts to break down. And that leads to the final game-changing step, enrich. As it decays, it returns all that organic matter and nutrients right back into the soil. I mean, the very device that solves the pest problem, it literally becomes food for the farm. It's incredible. And that right there is the whole paradigm shift. Think about it. With all the old methods, you're left with a waste problem, right? Either plastic junk or chemical residue in the soil. But with EcoPods, the waste is the solution. It just completely flips the entire script on what pest control even is. Okay, the science is cool, right? But what does this actually mean in the real world? For farmers, for the environment, for all of us. Well, when you stack it up against the alternatives, the advantages, well, it's crystal clear. Let's just run through this comparison because it really tells the story. With chemicals, selectivity is super low. You kill the good bugs right along with the bad ones. EcoPods, very high selectivity. Environmental impact, chemicals are negative, plastic traps are negative, but EcoPods are actually positive. They enrich the soil. And for farmers, think about the labor and safety. Instead of suiting up in PPE and spraying dangerous stuff, they're just placing a pod in the ground. It's safer, it's easier, and there's no cleanup. I mean, across the board, it just transforms every negative into a positive. And this quote really nails it. EcoPods are not just an incremental improvement. They are a holistic system that redefines the category. And that's the key, right? This isn't just a slightly better version of an old idea. It's not a better mousetrap. It's a completely new way of thinking about the problem, a holistic approach that sees the farm as a whole ecosystem. So where does this go from here? What's next? Because this is way more than just one cool product. You have to think of it as a platform, one that could build a much smarter and more adaptive future for farming. The potential here is just starting to open up. And the roadmap for the future is where things get really wild. Just imagine customizable formulas tailored for any specific crop in any region of the world. Or picture these same pods also releasing beneficial microbes to fight off plant diseases right from the soil. And get this, think about huge drone fleets deploying these things with pinpoint accuracy across massive farms, all guided by real-time data from tiny little pest sensors. This is what the dawn of truly intelligent precision agriculture looks like. And that really brings us full circle. For the last century or so, we've thought of agricultural innovation as something that comes out of a chemistry lab. But what if this technology is showing us something different? What if the next great revolution in farming isn't going to be sprayed out of a tank, but will actually grow right out of healthier, more vibrant soil?